Welcome to Securely Speaking, your go-to podcast for all things governance, identity, security, and compliance. I'm Moritz, the head of marketing here at Integralis, and I'm excited to dive into another insightful episode with you. Without further ado, let me hand over to our hosts, Quinton, Hughes, and Almero Steyn, as they guide us through today's discussion.
Well, hello, Quinton.
You can see I'm in December mode already. If you can see I'm wearing slops and shorts. I'm ready to hit the beach, buddy.
I've got flip-flops on, but I'm nowhere near the beach. It's December. I can't believe it. We're at the end of the year. It's almost the end of it. And here in South Africa, things are winding down. A lot of our customers are going into change freezes and getting ready to do kind of December business operations.
Yeah,
I can't believe the year went so quickly.
People are taking leave, left, right, and center, planning holidays with families, spending time on the beach. In Europe, it's quite the opposite, I know.
Yeah, I think an interesting thing.
Same for some of our customers, really.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I think it's an interesting thing that we want to talk about today. We were having a discussion earlier the week, and it's interesting the flow of how different regions and different industries kind of handle December breaks. A lot of our partners are in Europe, and for them, it's business as usual, maybe closed over December for Christmas and New Year. But here in South Africa, we have a long summer break coming up, and a lot of industries are scaling down, but some industries are scaling up. And we had an interesting conversation the other day about some of our customers that's going through a lot of transition at this time. And I thought it'd be interesting for us to have a bit of a discussion about that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're 100% right, Al. I think for some people, it means a quiet time here now, or a quiet time during the year. And for other people, it's quite the opposite. It's actually getting a bit more hectic. Some of our customers go into an environment where they're getting ready for huge rollovers into the new year, which means a lot of JML activity, right?
So I think before we even get into that, just maybe give the listeners and the guys watching and ladies watching a little bit of an idea of what you mean with a rollover, because in many industries that doesn't even exist. The concept of a rollover isn't something that a lot of our enterprise and manufacturing customers understand.
Yeah, a lot of our customers, when we talk about the joiner mover leaver process, it is day to day, run of the mill. Every month you onboard a few contractors, you onboard a few employees, and you offboard a few employees and contractors throughout the year. But if you think about it, there are some customers, and we'll get to them now, that during this time of the year they have 1,000 plus movers or leavers, 1,000 plus joiners, new joiners, and thousands more moving in the organization. If for those of you who are familiar with this, our customers in the education industry, that's literally what we're talking about. We've got a few customers who this time of the year, they are on the edge of their seat because they know December time, they have to offboard all their students. The students that are finishing school, the students that are finishing universities or finishing degrees. And they have to onboard, coming January, they have to onboard thousands of new learners, and they have to be ready to hit the road running in January. And then, of course, everybody in between who are moving grades and subjects and course assignments, those are all movers. So in the joiner, mover, leaver context in an enterprise, which a lot of these large education customers of ours are, it is a hectic time of the year and quite scary.
Definitely, I had an interesting conversation with a gentleman on a plane the other day, and without giving names of certain companies that we work with, I just kind of mentioned a few of these scenarios that our customers, a lot of the customers in education have to deal with at this time of the year. Because if you think about a JML process, you have people transitioning between different contexts. So you have like kindergarten kids becoming primary school kids, and primary school become secondary education, and secondary becoming tertiary education, and tertiary education becoming alumni. And each of these have got different business process policies. So it's literally like you are transitioning the job roles and policy and entitlement of 80% of your organization once a year in a 3-week period.
Yeah,
And
let's put
if it
some
doesn't
numbers to
work,
that. I mean, yeah,
go for it.
exactly. Put some numbers to that. I mean, one of our customers has got 60,000 learners, right? So imagine an organization with 60,000 employees. That's what they are. That transition January into a new role, and you got 10,000 new ones joining and 10,000 ones leaving. Everybody that transitions as part of this process, they all use Microsoft Teams. So each course is assigned its own team with a teacher. So there are thousands of new teams created every year automatically. The membership of those teams needs to be populated based on the grades that the learners take. The teachers are the owners of those teams. They need to be assigned the owner of that team. The same for your LMS system. If you think about online LMS systems such as Moodle and so forth, each learner needs to be assigned to the correct course, to the next team, teachers, and so forth. So, just from a join and move a lever perspective, it is quite scary. And if you think about the deactivation of all of this, talk about risk in the environment, leaving 10,000 accounts that leave the organization uh, unactive or still active, if you don't deactivate them.
Dormant somewhere.
Yeah, those guys have got access to all their old content at the school. They can still access the school Wi-Fi. Now they're not in school anymore. They've got nothing to do, so they're becoming quite mischievous now that they know a thing or two. So it's funny, but it's real life critical scenarios. And if you think of the large education institutions in South Africa, this time of year it's quite scary. Wits, UJ, Cape Town University,
Unisa.
UNISA, all these big universities with hundreds of thousands of students. They all go through this every year.
It's a very stressful time of the year for a lot of our customers that deal with this. And over the years, we've tried to use the combination of technology and process and people to try to alleviate some of that. So I think let's delve a little bit into some of the ways that we try to help this scenario or assist the customer in this scenario. Obviously,
Yeah.
something we've spoken about a lot is some of the technology solutions that are out there, but that only forms one part of it. So what portion of this kind of does the technology address?
Automation is a big part, right? I think if you have studied before at one of these institutions or any education institution, the reputational damage it could cause to an institution if you rock up there, you've paid your school fees, and you're ready to hit the road running, but you don't have access to your course content, your account is not working, you can't get access to Wi-Fi, your device that they give you or your device that you have with you is not enrolled and not working correctly, you can't get access to your email. That really cause, and if that happens to one person, it's okay. But if it happens to thousands of new learners or people who would like to start the year quickly, the reputational damage that can cause is severe, right? So automation through our IGA platform tools that we use is critical. Just the fact that we can onboard students from a student management system into all their connected systems accurately, automatically, and almost in real time as they are loaded means that the school or the university, come 1 January, that is literally when the date rolls over to 1 January that all these changes happen. So 5 o'clock in the morning on the 1st of January, all the accounts are created, SMSs are sent out with passwords, people can start logging in online portals and accessing their content. So December is the preparation time for all of this. And this is the term that we coined earlier, the rollover period, right? The rollover projects that we do with our customers. So one of the items definitely is automation in this environment. Automation through your IGA platform into all your connected systems. That is critical just to start with, really.
Definitely.
Uh,
I think, go for it.
sorry. I mean,
No,
from
go for it.
from from creating accounts to creating teams to creating Moodle courses or LMS courses and populating all those courses. This all happens automatically. Just think about trying to do that all manually. not too long ago, one of our customers, that's exactly what they were doing. In December times, they would employ 20 or 30 students to come and help them create content manually. Um, Over the last few years, through the help of our teams and IGA platforms, that entire process has been automated, right? So the deactivation of accounts, the archiving of old content, the creation of new accounts and new course content and teams and so forth, that's all automated right now through the IGA platform.
I think that addresses or speaks to one of the points about automation. So oftentimes when we work with institutions in the education sector, they have a really robust learner management system and student management system, and oftentimes these two are well integrated, and they have a nice process for applicants to students to alumni.
Yep.
But the challenge is broader these days. So all the universities that we work with, it's not just a single learner management system and a content management system that people use anymore. It's a it's an integrated enterprise. So the complexity amongst multiple systems, teams, courses, content, uh, books on tablets, access to Wi-Fi, physical access to campuses, it becomes a complete enterprise umbrella
It's
of
a
IGA
it's an
processes that take place.
it's an integrated ecosystem that you cannot, if you drop the ball on one of these things, it really causes chaos. And I think if you think about the entire ecosystem in that way, automation and the implementation of a good IGA platform like that will bring you the accuracy and the speed to solve and automate these JML processes. And because it's automated and there's some accuracy and speed involved here, you save on reputation, but also, and more importantly, security. Access rights that are dynamically updated and provisioned ensures that it's not done by hand, so there's no human mistakes. There are some always, but usually 95 to 99% of the security access controls are in place and enforced, right? Governance is enforced. So automating this entire JML process has got long lasting consequences within the business, which brings you more secure platform, the ability to enforce governance and adhere to compliance and so forth, right? So the
So,
benefits of this process is huge to organizations like this time of year, especially.
so obviously the technology, as we've spoken about in the past, brings you the efficiency, the speed, the accuracy, the automation. It brings you the security, and it brings you the governance. But a crucial part that I think has evolved with our consultation with customers over many years of doing this is the process piece. Um, because originally a rollover is something that's done in a student management system in the background. Kind of give me an idea. I know you guys have been working with one or two of these large institutions for a few years now, and every year we evolve the rollover. So,
Yep.
give me an idea of some of the critical aspects in that process, kind of at a high level. What are some of the
Yeah.
things that the customer and the teams have to kind of be taking into consideration when doing this?
Yeah, so we created this concept of a rollover project with our customers that are in the education industry. And it involves basically, like I said earlier, the 1st of January, you want everything to work. And for that to work, there's a lot of building blocks and pieces that has to be in place before that. The first one is your data, right? So we can only automate processes if we have access to accurate data. So data integrity is a vital part. So what we try and do we register our rollover projects in November already. So that gives us 2 months to work with our education customers. And what we do there is we help them make sure that the data that they enter into systems are accurate, clean, and of good quality. And we do that through vigorous testing. So we are constantly testing our rollover into the new year, starting November already. So we work with our customers, they upload data, we test our processes. They upload data, we test our processes. And in testing the entire process, we get to identify where we have data problems or data integrity challenges. That is one of the key parts, is getting the education institution to early enough start loading and addressing and cleaning up data in the source systems that we would need the data from: your student information management system, your course content LMS system, your HR systems and all the other connected platforms, right? Secondly is the processes itself, the automation of this. These education institutions also evolve. They evolve every year. They bring on new platforms. They bring on changes to existing processes. And these, as they are changed through the year, are then again not really tested for rollover purposes since the last rollover. So as part of our rollover
So
process, and there's
sorry to interrupt you. Think about the online schools that we had to create, at the drop of a hat when COVID happened. So suddenly there's a whole online school that doesn't follow a campus model, that doesn't. So all the business processes are broken.
exactly.
And you create the school, you get up and running, and we've got online schools. And now suddenly, for instance, like you say, at the rollover time, it's a brand new world.
Yeah.
That you have to
So
test.
testing of those new processes before we hit the rollover is critical. And that brings us to the third point. That's testing more. We've done a few rollovers, unfortunately, that went horribly wrong. And fortunately enough, we have the scars to prove it and learn from it, right? So that is from these bad experiences that we've had with customers. Um, we've implemented these rollover projects, and really since we've been doing that, we've had limited problems, so very few problems in the environment. And getting ready, that's the fourth point, is getting ready for January, so that when you hit that time between Christmas and January, when everybody has a few cocktails and sits on the beach, and the guys in Europe, they drink what is that, eggnog under the mistletoes and stuff. We don't do that here. We
Probably
drink
Glühwein.
we drink white wine on the beach or something like that. But during that time, the people in the education industry are really stressed, because come the 1st of January, we should be ready. And since we've been doing these rollover projects, we have a relaxed customer during that period, because by that time we have everything ready. So when the date rolls over and the new data becomes available, everything has been tested, from the data integrity side, the processes that we have implemented, new automated processes. All the testing has been completed with data for January, but already in November and December. And then come 1st of January, the system runs, and it connects to all the platforms and automates and integrates and creates and deactivates all the accounts and teams and courses that are necessary. Really, so that first few days, it's all about getting all the systems in sync and getting the platforms in sync, and making sure that there's no errors, and resolving some of the data errors that we do have, because you always have some data errors. It's never going to work 100%. Unfortunately, we are humans and we do make mistakes as well. But minimal, really minimal. And we're hoping this year, touch wood, we run into a as few problems as possible as well. Our teams are busy with rollover projects at the moment, and that's why we said, well, let's talk about this topic. It is very relevant in South Africa at the moment.
I think two things. I think the one thing that's kind of implied that I'm hearing based on what you're saying is that, yes, the data is of crucial quality. The data is of crucial. The process and understanding the process is really important, and then doing testing. But I kind of, as you were talking, the implied one that I keep on hearing is timing. So getting the data ready at the right stage, so that the relevant project can start at the right stage, so that the testing can happen, so that there's this kind of constant drive from, I think, a project perspective to make sure that we're hitting these milestones, because if they slip, then everything slips.
And I think that's critical, right? You hit the nail on the head there, because we've said from the beginning, we don't want to sell ourselves in these podcasts. We want to talk about relevant topic, but I have to give our teams kudos here. The difference between giving somebody an IGA platform such as Almero or SailPoint or Quest or even Entra ID governance, and walking away and only fixing something when the customer logs a call, and the way that our guys do it, by constantly working with the customer to ensure data integrity and to update processes and optimize the system, and do these rollover projects with them once a year at the end of the year to make sure they invite. Those are value added IGA managed services that we offer on top of just the platform, right? And that's critical. The customer needs to let the tools work for them, and they are not IGA experts. They are running their normal business, run-of-the-mill business processes, and they should focus on that. And with a partner and the teams that we have here that will really work with the customer to take that burden off their hands, help them make sure everything works, all the data is submitted correctly, and constantly testing and identifying areas of concerns and risk. That is the difference between having an IGA partner that provides you with a proper managed service versus an IGA partner that might just sell you the product and offer you the ability to log an incident with them, right?
Amazing. I always love this example as a wonderful business-based outcome of how IGA actually helps customers really deliver on that efficiency, security, and governance world. If I think about the one customer in particular that we work with, that's a on-campus customer. That's like, I think it's 170 campuses and 60 different schools and 60,000 students that has to go through this process. And it's really gratifying, and you want to give people high fives when that goes off relatively without a hitch. So
when it doesn't work, everybody knows who you are. When it works, nobody knows that you're there. Exactly.
That's why your hair looks like that.
Customers. Exactly. One of our it's turned blue now. One of our university customers, as just finishing off quickly. This is the scenario, right? The student walks in and they pay their registration fees the first week in January. As soon as they submit payment on that system and they process the payment, they receive an SMS with their username, multiple SMSs, of course, but with their usernames and passwords, and the credentials are sent to them, mail is created. All that stuff happens immediately and automatically in that university's case. That's a really cool experience, because once you've paid your registration fee, you get your details as a new student. You can immediately log on to the school Wi-Fi. You can walk to the nearest lab and you can access the lab with your card. And all of that is automated. And if it works, nobody knows you even exist. But in the background, the amount of testing and processes and systems that are integrated to make something as simple as that work is quite complex. And in today's day and age, it is simply impossible without a proper IGA platform, without automation across multiple different systems and people doing rigorous testing.
I think that's the bottom line of the conversation today. We wanted to give a shout out to the customers in the education sector, the people in our teams, that as the year is kind of winding down, these people are really ramping up their work and making sure that our students and our children, the schools across private school groups and universities have access to start the year well next year. So to all the people that's out there this time of year doing that work, we salute you and we hope it all goes well. But I think we also understand that this is an interesting scenario, but there's many other like this. I think while we were talking, I was thinking about another customer of ours that is in manufacturing, that during this time, they go into onboarding of a huge amount of contractors that has to go into plants to do shutdown maintenance over this period and do a lot of refitting and boilers and all kinds of things like that. So I'm convinced there's other scenarios like this in some of our other customers, but I'm also sure that there's scenarios like this from the people that's listening. So we've had some really cool interactions with people on LinkedIn that's given us some comments about what they do. So we're actually looking to you to give us some examples of how you are using IGA for interesting scenarios above the kind of run-of-the-mill JML process of an employee, because we know those scenarios are out there and we're always interested in engaging with them. So if you have any of them, give those to us. Yeah.
Please, let's spark a debate on this a little bit. We'd like to hear your thoughts on interesting and funny JML scenarios, like Alice said. So keen to see the comments and engage with you guys. Thanks for taking the time to listen to us blabble on a bit.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting scenario, and it was good talking about it and highlighting it, because I think a lot of people forget about it this time of year. So I think with that, we're going to close this episode of Securely Speaking and wish everybody a good December. If you're going away, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere and summer holidays, have a good time. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, persevere through the snow and have a good Christmas. And we'll see you on the flip side in 25.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, leave a like and subscribe to stay tuned for our upcoming sessions. We'd also love to hear from you, so leave a comment in the comment section, or alternatively, reach out to us on www.integralis.coza/contact us. See you next time.